This story happened a while ago, but it still messes with my mind. Side note, I live in a quiet countryside where is usually nothing happening. I'm a 18 years old girl who can easily walk around my hometown alone without even being scared because it's really safe here. Basically no crimes. So, as usual, me and my dog went for a walk one evening. It was nice weather outside, so I decided to go for a nearby field. I usually let my dog out of her leash there, so it was fun for both of us. She's a nice dog and always comes when I call for her. We get to the field and everything is going really well and nothing seems off, except I have this kind of odd feeling in my gut that I never usually have. The last time I had the same feeling when I was 8 years old, and we were driving at night with my family. I had the same feeling then and I told it to my parents. I feel like something is wrong, you should be careful. I said something like that. They slowed down because I was oddly serious at the moment. A minute after I said it, a deer came out of nowhere, and we would have crushed if we had gone by the same speed as a minute before. We were all shocked and my mom thanked me. I still remember it like it was yesterday. However, in the field, 10 years later, I get the same gut feeling. Whatever. I think and keep going, completely ignoring it. We roll around the fields and a nearby forest until the sunset starts to set. I put my dog back to her leash and decide to leave from one of the tiny paths that go through a small forest. It's not a popular way to go, but it's quick. As I'm walking along that path, I suddenly spot a silhouette in the end of the road just before the forest starts. I think nothing of it at that point, and just keep walking, but after just a little while I have a strong gut feeling and stare at the silhouette for a while. It's then that I notice that the silhouette is staring at me without moving. I just think that maybe they were waiting for someone, because at first the silhouette looked like a child's. But as I got closer, I noticed that it wasn't a child but a grown man who was riding difficulty-looking child's bicycle. It was a blue-green boy's bicycle. His legs were way too long for it, and his whole body looked like he was forcing himself to ride it. It was really unsettling sight. Still, my idiot brain didn't want to turn around and have a couple of kilometers waste of time, and even though it was creepy looking, I still thought, maybe he's waiting for someone that comes from my way. But every step I take he follows me with intense expression. I'm only like 20 meters away from him when he starts to do a weird jumps on his bike, smiling the ugliest and the most unsettling smile I've ever seen, just staring at me with wide eyes. He kinda looks like he was expecting something and is so excited about it that he needs to jump. He looks like he's in his 50s or something, very long and thin legs and arms, bald, and that creepy unsettling smile. That's when my alarm rings went on. I glanced behind me and no one was there. It was just me, a 18 years old small girl with her fluffy dog. I turn around 360 foot and start to jog where I came from, just in case. I glanced at him and sighed in relief when I noticed he wasn't following me or anything. I thought that maybe he wasn't waiting for me after all and called myself stupid and a scaredy cat. I was so wrong. My adrenaline starts to slow down again as I'm in the middle of the fields, and I still see no sign of him following me. I let my dog out of her leash again, and she starts to run around. I'm nearly at the end of the field when my dog spots a rabbit or deer or some interesting thing and flies towards it. I panic because she has never done that before and yell for her. I yell plenty of times for her loudly, and finally she comes back. I'm relieved that nothing happened to her, but as I put her back to her leash I notice something form the corner of my eye. The freaking bald long legs is biking towards me. He's not looking at the ground when he bikes, but me. Freak out wasn't enough to express my feeling in that moment. I have never seen a human who looks so crazy. More than crazy. What surprised me the most was that he was biking through a field, and I can tell you it is not an easy field to even walk sometimes. It has muddy ponds that you need to jump over, but that psycho just biked through them. He was struggling a lot to bike there, but somehow managed to still do that. I didn't watch for another second behind me because I just started running. I ran so freaking full speed that I saw black and nearly collapsed. My lungs hurt so bad that I thought I was dying, but the adrenaline kept my blood running and my legs too. Once I glanced behind me and he was there, struggling badly to keep up his full speed on the field grounds with that ugly white smile and the way too little bike. After that I just ran like crazy until I found a house, hid in their yard without even minding that I was in someone else's yard. It didn't matter to me in that moment at all. I waited a while with my breathing stuck in my throat, but he didn't come. I was planning to yell as loudly as I could if he found me, but he never did. At some point the adrenaline started leaving my system and I left my hiding spot. I ran again until I reached an area which had multiple people in their yards, so I would have help if I saw him again. But I didn't. I typed 911 into my phone but couldn't bring myself to call. Mostly because I had no proof and I didn't want my parents to find out because they are overprotecting, so I wouldn't probably leave my house anymore. I've been paranoid after this incident. My dog was frightened too. I guess she noticed something was really off too. I swear to God that I will always listen to my gut when it's telling me something from now on. I'm still scared of him. I've expected to randomly spot him in some area and what he could have done to me. I can't forget his awful smile. I feel like he's gonna jump on my window one night and hurt me. I feel paranoid and helpless. I'm still thinking about calling the police. This happened around 2018, right after my sister moved out of our apartment together. It's been bothering me since I just moved out. I was home alone on my day off when someone knocked on my door. No one ever visits and I have anxiety, so that was terrifying to my brain already. I answered and it was a woman who lived in one of the basement apartments. She seemed nice at first, asking if I wanted any clothes she was giving away because they weren't her style but supposedly matched mine perfectly as a young woman. That was already a red flag in my mind because the only time I ever saw her was when I was walking to work out wearing my uniform of a black shirt, black pants, and black hat. But I let her talk because I'm super awkward and hated being rude to technical strangers. Then she started getting pushy and listing off super expensive name brands to try to get me to go to her apartment. Old small building, no cameras. And I lived on the second top floor, which would be down what I called the creepy stairs and next to the door to the back lot no one used. Then I realized she was holding a notebook open with the script of what to say. I continued to reject, but my anxiety wouldn't let me close the door on her face without fear of her lashing out. She kept insisting until I finally told her my boyfriend was going to be home soon and suggested she donated them. My boyfriend wasn't going to be home for many hours, but she didn't need to know that obviously. She leaves and I go back to my room, which has a window facing that back lot alley. A few moments later I hear a fight happening in the lot and see her with the previous maintenance man. It's a loud, screaming fight. And they're standing next to his truck, which has tinted windows and a covered truck bed. My paranoia went a little wild, so I texted my family about it to feel a bit safer. Then I believe he left. But a little while later, something hits my door hard. I didn't check, just stared. Then it happened again and again. All night until my BF came home. And for a few days when I was alone. I found out after looking at the door that they were hitting my deadbolt, and it was off-center. Even after it was replaced, the damage couldn't be fixed. It stopped after a little while, and the woman moved out almost immediately after all of that. I don't want to feed my paranoia, but something obviously wasn't right. I know I should have called the police, but I have horrific phone anxiety. Everyone thought I was overreacting, and police in my town are relatively useless. Also, that maintenance man was rehired and was the one who replaced my deadbolt, insisting he kept the extra key despite never needing the old. My new house is much safer, thankfully.